Welcome to This Explainer. I am so pumped you're here today because, let's be honest, we're tackling something literally everyone struggles with. You know that sudden 3 a.m. urge to just completely fix your entire life? Like you're going to wake up at dawn, run 5 miles, write a novel, and then you end up hitting snooze 4 times when the sun actually comes up? Well, today we're unpacking some research that completely flips our modern understanding of drive and discipline on its head. If you've been relying purely on hustle culture or just sheer willpower to grind it out, you are essentially following a recipe for absolute burnout.
Think about it. Have you ever set this massive, life-changing goal on a Sunday night, felt totally invincible, and then by Wednesday morning, poof, that motivation just completely faded away? We've all been there, right? And when it happens, you kind of feel like you have a character flaw, like you're just missing that magical grit that highly successful people somehow possess. But what if the problem isn't you at all? What if you're just relying on a psychological tool that was never ever designed to last in the first place?
So, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the motivation myth. Second, grounding in physical health. Third, internal versus external drivers. And finally, tools to break resistance.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the motivation myth.
Okay, so here's the reality check. Motivation, it's just a transient emotion. It's not this reliable, permanent character trait that you're either born with or you're not. It is literally just an emotion. And just like happiness or sadness or anger, motivation naturally ebbs and flows. I mean, you wouldn't expect to be laughing 24/7, right? So you can't expect to be motivated all the time either. Today, we're going to build this metaphorical house of sustainable action, and debunking this huge cultural myth is step 1.
You see, we have this massive cultural obsession with being driven. But relying on motivation alone is a total trap. The research makes it crystal clear. Motivation is an emotion that ebbs and flows like any other. Do not rely on motivation alone. Because it fluctuates so much, relying on it practically guarantees you're going to fail when the tide inevitably goes out. When we lean solely on this unpredictable feeling to fuel our long-term goals, we eventually crash. And the worst part, we unfairly blame ourselves instead of realizing our whole strategy was just fundamentally flawed.
So how many times have you told yourself to just try harder? Mindlessly doing the exact same things, trying to force yourself to feel motivated. It's literally like Sisyphus, endlessly pushing that massive boulder up a hill only to watch it roll right back down. If you think you're going to change your life simply by trying harder, you're really just setting yourself up for pure exhaustion. And this is so absolutely crucial to understand. Brute force doesn't work. Systems do. True, lasting change requires a completely different approach.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, grounding in physical health.
Okay, so high motivation comes best from a baseline of good health. When you picture a really motivated person, what pops into your head? Probably an athlete sprinting onto a field, right? Well, you're actually picturing someone at their peak physical baseline. And here is the main takeaway you need to remember. You simply cannot out-motivate a biological deficit.
Seriously, if you're running on 4 hours of sleep and eating junk food, you aren't lacking willpower, you are just biologically exhausted. To sustain drive, you absolutely need proper sleep, deep nutrition, minimized stress, and daily movement. Think of this as the biological concrete foundation of your house. If your sleep and nutrition are lacking, you are actively sabotaging your own momentum. You can't sustain a high drive if you're fundamentally depleted. It's just biologically impossible.
Let's break down these 4 pillars. Your mental clarity and mindset, that comes directly from how you think. Your raw physical energy is literally constructed from what you eat. Sleep is what restores your balance, both emotional and physical. And move, doing something active every single day, well, that's what generates your forward momentum. They are all so deeply interconnected. Without this solid physical baseline, any motivation you stumble into is really just a temporary spike that is going to quickly crash and burn.
All right, foundation poured. Moving on to Section 3, internal versus external drivers. There is such a sharp contrast between chasing external rewards and being fueled by genuine internal values. This right here is the psychological framework of our house. External motivation is usually driven by deficiency, things like fear of failure, seeking approval, or chasing some superficial reward. Internal motivation, on the flip side, is driven by growth. It comes from your true needs, your deep desires, and your unwavering core values.
And here is a pretty surprising fact. Relying on external motivation, like fear of a strict boss or desperately chasing a cash bonus, can actually reduce your performance over time. Crazy, right? It just breeds anxiety, stress, and inner conflict. Internal motivation provides vastly superior results. When you're fueled by growth and those internal values, you develop true resilience.
You actually accomplish more, you bounce back from setbacks way faster, and hey, you might actually enjoy the process along the way. So, how do we actually cultivate this internal drive? First up, look at the big picture. Constantly remind yourself of what you want and why it actually matters to you. Second, try to connect even the most tedious tasks to those core values. Doing boring paperwork, connect it to your broader goal of providing for your family. And third, set goals that focus on growth rather than deficiency. Instead of a negative goal, like I need to stop eating junk food, reframe it. Make it positive and growth-oriented, like I want to fuel my body to live healthy. Moving towards a positive outcome is a real game changer for building sustainable drive.
Now let's put the roof on this house. Section 4. Tools to break resistance.
I absolutely love this first tool. It's called the Turn It Up playlist tactic. The idea is to create a dedicated playlist of high-energy songs. When you're facing a boring chore or sitting down to write, or just completely lacking the drive to hit the gym, you put these songs on and literally turn the volume up. Whether it's 90s hip-hop, heavy metal, or those totally embarrassing pop anthems, use it to instantly alter your emotional state and just blast right through that short-term mental resistance. It works like magic.
Now, when you feel your willpower totally breaking down, you need to check your HALTS baseline, HALTS. That stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sick. These 5 states are the exact moments when your internal resistance skyrockets and your motivation just completely vanishes. Whenever one of these is triggered, your biology is essentially hijacking your psychology.
The practical application of this is profound. Never, ever make major decisions or force yourself into difficult situations when HALTS is triggered. Before you try pushing forward and forcing a decision you'll probably regret, just stop. Eat a snack, take a quick nap, call a friend, step away for a minute. Stop blaming your lack of willpower and start fixing your biological or emotional baseline first.
Okay, let's do a quick recap of the steps to build this sustainable house of discipline. Step 1. Recognize that motivation is a temporary emotion, not a permanent trait. Step 2. Build a rock-solid physical health foundation so you aren't constantly fighting your own biology. Step 3. Cultivate the internal, growth-based values that give you actual resilience over those external fears. And Step 4. Put the roof on by using tactical tools like the Turn It Up playlist and HALTS to break through daily friction.
This chart perfectly summarizes the whole formula for sustainable action. Look at this. 50% of your ability to sustain action comes directly from your physical health foundation. 30% comes from the psychological framework of your internal values, and only 20% relies on those life hacks and tools. This proves that a solid biological foundation and internal alignment do all the heavy lifting for you. The life hacks? They're just the finishing touches on the roof.
I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought today. Are your current goals fueled by a genuine internal need, or are you just chasing the fleeting emotion of motivation? It's time to stop pushing that boulder up the hill. Build your foundation, connect with your core values, and start operating from a place of true resilience. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you build a much stronger, far more sustainable path forward.